As I settle in to share some stories from the internet's most candid corner, I'm reminded that relationship drama knows no bounds. It can be both hilarious and heart-wrenching. Join me as we dive into the wild world of romantic entanglements, misunderstandings, and moments of pure vulnerability. Boyfriend 28. Male does not understand why women sometimes need to call with someone when walking gibbering home at night. How do I, 28EF, explain? To be fully honest, just the thought of collecting all the evidence of why this is a real thing makes me nauseous, and a big part of me feels like this is his question to research. Still, I would appreciate any comments on how to explain this to someone who struggles to comprehend this. I tried to have this conversation many times, but he usually just says something along the lines of, "But you are not in that big of a danger." He seems to be completely unaware of what it's like to exist in a world as a woman, in this particular aspect of life. He believes we're equal, rarely seems to feel threatened, scared, on the street himself, and somehow fails to understand why it would be any different from me. When I need him to call with me, he does it, but always complains about having work or something else to do, and actively tries to dismiss my request. He makes it very clear how inconvenient it is. He usually stays on a call under the condition that we don't talk and he can focus on his work or something. That's fair, if it happens once while you are trying to hit a deadline or something, but he pretty does this every time it happens. It just makes me feel like he really doesn't care whether I'm safe or not. Honestly, there are just so many aspects of this I find repulsive that I can't even make myself break it down or talk to him about it. I also have a few female friends who know they can always call me if they need to walk home alone. Some of them called me once or twice while I was with my boyfriend, and he seemed really frustrated that it took time away from our night. Even a perceived threat in this context means that I or my friends deserve maximal available support. Even when we go on dates, or I return home alone from somewhere, he never says text me when you get home, or even get home safe. It's as if he is completely unaware that this is a thing. I understand that this particular aspect reads pretty bad, which is why I don't know what to do myself. Especially given that he is a really good and compassionate boyfriend otherwise, this just seems to be a really weird blind spot. This is all to say, I would be the first one to say something like dump him based on this text only, but please refrain from it and provide constructive advice or suggestions on how to vividly explain it. Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. The truth is that any man understands this, it's rudimentary. He just doesn't give a fuck about you. This is the ugly truth. It's frustrating when someone can't empathize with such a fundamental safety concern. Yep, this is true, unfortunately. I remember a night where I had to take the bus home from work later than I usually did, and had a bit of a walk to my place after my stop. So I was nervous even though I was not likely in any real danger. I called my boyfriend, now husband, and asked him to just stay on the phone with me. He lived an hour away, and he offered to come pick me up and take me home. I had to convince him I just wanted to talk, and by the time he accepted that I was home, a man who truly cares will at the very least stay on the phone with you. I'm sorry, but this man may not be the best for you. My husband sort of understood it when I asked him once. Okay, let's put it in perspective. If someone wanted to hurt you, what percentage of men in that store would be able to take you? Realistically. He said, I don't know, maybe 1 in 10. Okay, and how many would be able to take me if they wanted to hurt me? He was like, 90% probably. Yeah, exactly. And so the only thing stopping them is their own self-control and choosing not to. All it takes is one person who chooses to hurt you and you're in trouble. I mean, that's like saying, oh, you don't need to wear a seatbelt. How often do you actually get in an accident? Okay, fair. Chances are you won't get a car wreck this very next drive. But if you do, the phone call to a friend is a seatbelt. Most likely you wasted your time buckling and unbuckling. Just like most of the time calling a friend is a waste of time. But if you ever did get hit, you'd be glad you had the belt buckled, wouldn't you? Here's the response from OP. I love this. Thank you. And now for the next story. M34 slapped me F34 during an argument and said it's because of our sex life. We're in a committed relationship and play around with dom-sub behaviors during sex only. This involves pain, slapping, choking, etc. And I love it and encourage it. During an argument, nothing sexual was happening at the time. He randomly slapped me in the middle of the argument, like trying to shut me up in that moment. I asked him why he did it, and he said it felt good. I asked him if it felt sexual to him, and he said 5,050. I guess he meant half sexual and half it just felt good to get out the aggression he was feeling because we were arguing. I just want to know from others that play around with pain during sex if it leaks out like this into other areas of your life. I don't really know how to feel about it. It just took me by surprise. Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. A huge part of BDSM is informed consent. A non-sexual situation where he randomly slaps you has zero consent on your part to be hit. This wasn't a part of your BDSM dynamic at all. This was him wanting to hit a woman during an argument because he's abusive. Leave him for your own sake, please. As a dominant, it is really easy to find someone who will give you the rough treatment you want in the bedroom, consensually, and still treat you well as a person outside of that. This, as someone who literally is on the receiving end of these activities in BDSM and enjoys it with consent, there is a big difference between slapping because your partner asked you to, consensually and safely, because it turns you on, and slapping out of anger to shut you up or punish you. These lines have never ever been close to blurred in any of my relationships. It does not leak out, and it is not the same and comes from two 100% different motivations. I would never in a million years excuse the latter. That would be the last time that man ever touched me. And that should be the same for any of us in the BDSM community, because this is the exact opposite of what we are meant to stand for. As a submissive, this 100% taught by war. Exactly this. Rules are laid out, and discussed things are not just done without consent and discussion. He went way over the line with this. And now for the next story. My 35 female boyfriend, 36 male, broke up with me because he suddenly decided to immigrate to Italy. He does not speak the language or have a job there. Just been processing a lot over the last week. I had met a really wonderful man who was very kind to me. We didn't fight and seemed to have an emotionally intelligent relationship. Almost 2 weeks ago, he came over to my home and told me that he felt as if he couldn't emotionally connect with me because he aspires to immigrate to Italy. The man was born and raised in America, does not speak Italian fluently, and does not have any sort of job set up there. He aspires to get Italian citizenship via his heritage, which I understand can be very difficult. I am jarred as I did not see this coming or expect this at all. How do I process this and move on? I feel hurt and felt as if he was disingenuous with me all of the times he told me how wonderful I was. His friends all love me and think I'm lovely and healthy for him. Is he completely out of his mind as much as I think he is? Since people keep asking and someone is disgruntled, I didn't mention above. We had been together for about 4 months, and luckily for me, it wasn't any longer than that. Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. Do you think this guy is really moving to Italy? Or do you think he is an idiot that doesn't know how to break up with you? Because there are no specific problems to your relationship to argue about, so he's just trying to making up stories because he doesn't want to look like the bad guy to his friend. Yeah, this is giving me Friends vibes, the episode where Chandler couldn't break up with Janice, so he told her he was moving to Yemen. OP needs to drive him to the airport and physically escort him to the plane. I bet a ticket to Italy ain't cheap. Bah ha ha ha. This is exactly what came to mind, lol. And now for the next story. A 30 male broke up with my GF29 female of 7 years because she's unsure if she wants to marry me. Hey everyone, throwaway account as my GF knows my main. I would like some advice because earlier today I broke up with my partner of 7 years. I'm not sure if I'm making the right decision as she has helped me to become a much better man and person. I've wanted for her to be my wife for quite some time. She gave a lot of herself in the beginning of the relationship, but this has since changed going on around 3 years now. Where she wanted to focus on herself and career as a priority, the relationship less so. I wanted to give her space to grow during this time, and even did some self-improvement too. Essentially, she has always been the one for me. I moved country for her so we could be closer to her family, and I was okay with leaving everything behind because I love her. It's been almost 6 years since we moved and I've had the best time for most of it. She got a job a few years ago and she travels for 34 of the year with her boss 64 male, so it's taken a major toll on the relationship as I barely see her for weeks at a time. It's been the hardest thing for structure and routine, but we were managing as best we could even with such a work, life, travel situation. So today, I basically hit my limit. She has known since very early in the relationship that I wanted to marry her, and we were on the same page about this. I bought a ring about 5 years ago, and she's known about it. I wanted to propose then, but when it came to me almost proposing, she wanted more time. Time to figure out what she wants, and since then, I've been in limbo. When I bring it up now and again, she says that she's not ready, that things are still too rocky for her, and just wants to focus on herself and her career, and I can't help but feel like I'm losing out on my best years, and I've been building up resentment towards her. I've just been waiting for her to change her mind, but am starting to think maybe it won't happen. In total, I've been waiting 5 years and just feel like it's going nowhere. Then today came. We were chatting while out for a walk, and it was the same answer as always. I told her I can't do it anymore, and she said if you've hit your limit then maybe let's call it quit. Do I just cut my losses here and move on? A huge part of me feels like after 7 years together, your partner should know whether or not they want to spend the foreseeable future with you. I want to keep fighting, but also feel like I'm disrespecting myself by not staying true to my needs and wants. I just don't know what to do anymore. Thanks for reading. Too long. Didn't read. Girlfriend and I have been together for 7 years. She still doesn't know if she wants to get married. I've basically at my limit today and told her I can't do it anymore. She said if I'm at my limit, then maybe we should call it quits. Now let's check out some of the comments on this post. She's not the one. Time to move on. Not even close. Seems she wanted this. She definitely seems like she's been checked out for a while. Sounds like you were just a placeholder after all this time. Live your best life. Your purpose in life should always come first. Don't make your life solely about someone else, because if it fails you will be devastated. Also, I have a slight feeling that you might be the side boyfriend here. Here's the response from OP. Thanks for the advice. I look after myself pretty well, and also wanted her to excel in her career. But traveling with her boss alone also made me lose a bit of trust in the relationship and not support her career as best as I could, as her boss was behaving unprofessionally, saying he had a kind of love for her. He has since apologized about that, but it was really hard for me to not think about that while they'd be traveling. From what I understood, it was platonic, but I still didn't like it. Like and subscribe for more awesome daily Reddit content. And don't forget to hit the bell to get notified when I upload new videos.